Both. Okay. I think I've just recorded this to my
Was
computer.
that recorded echo? I can see your belly.
No, that's not on there, mate. It's on there now though because we're recording. Okay, so this is another episode of Too Old to Punk. Um,
I think
I'm
we've got
with
one. I like
you.
that name. I think it's definitely a keeper.
It is with Gaz Smith or
Hello.
Gareth Smith, and then with my old mate Darren Bourne.
Oh, you're right.
Um, it's funny because I was just thinking, like, I first knew or saw Darren about when I used to go to shows in London, I think in the early 90s. And I always remember seeing you, Clifford, and Bod about. It's funny, like, I can remember, like, going, I think, to the Dome and places like that. And you'd always be about at the shows. And that's how I remember you. Because you're just like a couple of years older than me. But obviously, being that young and people being a couple of years older than you is quite a big deal back then, isn't it? If you think about it. But I always remember you from back then. I think did you already have quite a lot of tattoos by then?
No, but I mean, I probably had long hair.
Yeah.
We all did, mate.
Yeah, I had a
Yeah.
full head of hair.
Um, so
Maybe
yeah,
that's what the show should be about, like reminiscing over our former hair.
older follically challenged older punks. Or maybe we should like get a sponsorship from
That's
some
that's a way catcher name and too old to punk.
You should get a sponsorship or endorsement by a clinic in Turkey where you get cheap hair jobs and turkey teeth. I mean, let's face it, I'm from the Fens. I've probably got the worst teeth in the world. Um,
I don't know.
But
it's,
where did you grow up then, Darren? Were you London or you outside?
I'm from Shoreham, so
Durham. Where's
yeah,
that?
so near Brighton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so literally, I'm well travelled. I've
Yeah.
moved about 8 miles.
All right. Yeah.
that's probably a good start, Darren. So maybe start off just saying a little bit about where you grew up, how you kind of got into music. I know you were big into metal and all that, and really how you got into punk. So maybe we'll start there. And then we'll probably start to talk a little bit about some of the things you've done, like obviously Tadpole Records and bands and whatnot. So yeah, fancy having a little start on that, maybe a bit about.
Yeah,
Tell
well,
us
I
about
mean,
Shoreham.
yeah, Shoreham, heavy metal. We had a friend, our friend Richard Palmer. His older brother had like a heavy metal jacket. And
Right.
literally, we would literally just whatever was on the back of his jacket, be it Saxon, Maiden, Motorhead, Priest, as we were like pretty young then, around about 10 or whatever, and just absolutely got obsessed by, anything on Richard Palmer's older brother's denim jacket.
That's a wicked
Um,
inroad.
it was like, yeah, like the Bible for us. Um, and then, yeah, that's it. Just, I think it's that progression, isn't it? Of like you like heavy metal, then you get into a bit of thrash metal, then you get a bit into death metal, and then I think over time, a lot of my friends got into the black metal,
Right.
and started getting a little bit on the sort of, let's say, dodgier side of politics.
What
And then
early on?
yeah. A friend of mine got like a very dodgy tattoo.
Oh, shit.
No, this is like a bit later on, like death metal sort of era,
It's like late 80s, Darren. Oh.
and probably late 80s, early 90s maybe, when the whole thing blew up with the black metal thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was already tape trading, so I'd already tape traded like some death metal demos, and people would put a bit of, I don't know, like Operation Ivy, Minor Threat,
Mm.
all that sort of early Revelation Records sort of stuff. Um, and I kind of obviously swayed more towards that politics wise than all my friends getting into the black metal stuff and yeah, the sort of dodgy politics.
Mm.
Could you say? I reckon it'd be a bit interesting to say something a little bit about what it was like growing up where you grew up and kind of putting the kind of politics into context, I think. Because do you think that you had sort of a basic idea of what your political values were sort of early on, do you reckon?
Yeah, I don't know really. I don't know. I just knew it was wrong, and I would say definitely with politics. Like when you hear something like Minor Threat,
Mm.
it was kind of like something sort of made you think, oh yeah, I like this.
Yeah.
rather than someone getting some dodgy black metal band that really didn't really speak to me, I guess.
How old were
Um,
you when you sort of discovered like things like Minor Threat and Operation Ivy then?
I guess that would be
Yeah.
late 80s sort of thing, very early 90s maybe.
When you born, Darren?
73.
73, okay.
So I'm 52 now.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's funny. I used to trade with a guy. I can't even remember his name. There was a guy in Wigan who I'd just literally get demo. I'd send him something that I'd got. I don't know, like a Mortar Skull demo from America, and he'd put on a side by side demo. It was just tape trading, and then he kept putting more and more, like less metal, more punk and hardcore sort of stuff. Like Agnostic Front, or I'd say more that sort of probably when those sort of bands were getting a bit bigger,
Yeah.
like Agnostic Front, and that there was that kind of sort of scene, wasn't there? Of we used to go to London to that Happy Jacks.
Yeah, I remember Happy Jacks, yeah.
Do you remember
Where was
that?
that?
Yeah, and that was quite good back then. I'd go and see one week you go and see Master, some classic death metal band. Then the next week there'd be, I don't know, Sick of It All or Agnostic Front, or I mean I was probably at the same sort of shows as you.
Well,
Where
you
was Happy Jack then? What was that place?
It was kind of under the railway bridges somewhere. I don't even remember where it is.
yeah, I'm trying to think some of the bands that I saw there. Is that where I might be really wrong. Doctor and the Crippins and Spermbirds played once?
Yeah, Spermbirds played there. Yeah, I didn't go. I missed that one. Yeah,
I remember it being like kind of dark, cavernous in that place, if I
yeah,
remember
it
right.
was a proper grotty venue, but
Yeah.
the best sort.
Yeah, it was totally. Because I think I went there obviously with the older lads, so I'd have probably been, I don't know, maybe 15, 16, and I'd obviously with the older lads who could drive. But I do remember going in there, and I
Yeah,
think I remember seeing Chico there.
yeah, probably.
Because that
Yeah,
again, that's because I always group my first experiences of London of rememberable people. I always put like you'd be in there, like who I'd see about Chico, or I definitely remember seeing him about a lot because
yeah, he used to be everything. Yeah,
he was at all the shows, wasn't
I mean the good thing was you had Bod, who seems to know everyone,
he? Yeah,
and he's such a friendly guy that he would sort of introduce you to you, and so over time you ended up knowing loads of people. And I saw Bod like last week. He's still going to things. He's still enthusiastic. It's great.
and that's,
Mm.
that's really cool. Because you was into skating as well, weren't you? A bit.
Yeah, I mean, I love skateboarding, but I was never good at skateboarding. But
But
I
that
loved
don't
it.
matter.
Yeah,
That's the whole point. It's like
I,
being
I,
in a punk band, isn't it? You don't have to be good at anything really. Just do
I
it.
enjoyed it. Yeah, I was saying to someone yesterday at my work, my school report. I had a school report that said Darren needs to try harder. He's obsessed with skateboarding and heavy metal, and not much has changed really.
You just still need to try harder, though.
Yeah,
Must
yeah,
try
pretty
harder at
much.
kickflips.
Yeah. So
Um,
yeah.
so you got into sort of like rap music. You started going to shows in London, and what can you remember? What you would say is punk or hardcore show was that you actually went to?
Probably down here, Pete from who's in Constant State of Terror now. He was putting on stuff, so maybe like a Gnostic Front come over. I don't know. I had a friend in Shoreham, another kiddie called Darren, and we used to just come over to everything in Brighton at the time. Um, God, I can't even think what like, but it would have definitely been like probably like 89, 90.
Yeah,
So I always get confused what sort of era those bands come over. But yeah, again, it was like we'd come over for things like a thrash metal band like Atrophy,
yeah.
and then you get a flyer, and then you come over for like Gnostic Front. I think we come over for Joyce McKinney Experience, but I
That's
don't
it.
think they played.
Oh,
There was a lot of that back then because you didn't have the internet. You'd come
yeah,
to a gig, and it didn't happen, or it'd get cancelled, or. Uh, So probably round about 1990 with the more sort of, punky and hardcorey sort of gigs and stuff.
Mm.
yeah,
Um, and then, yeah, going to London was easy for us because Shoreham is like Brighton where it's just got a direct train. And it was a lot cheaper back then. So you
yeah.
just jump on a train, go to London. And then, yeah, that was literally, when you're young and enthusiastic and you go to every gig you can.
Mm. Did the trains go all night, or did you have to like sleep over?
Yeah,
Or?
there's late trains back. There'd be trains about half midnight, so it's kind of perfect.
Yeah.
Fast trains up. So it's good. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
What you just said there really took my nostalgia bones with the old when you used to go to shows and then you'd be at one show and then there'd be people handing out flyers for what's coming up next week or 2 weeks
Yeah,
time. Just these small flyers, like that's something that's like I can really like long back.
it was
Towards.
amazing, really.
Yeah, yeah.
And the other thing is though, which was sort of not so good, was I'd always get flyers with like subjugation, armed with anger, some of those sort of like different distros,
Yeah.
and you get the flyer, and I'd be like, oh no, they played last week.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I miss Spitboy. I
Yeah.
think I miss Born Against. Like
Oh,
there's one or two bands that I'm really still like,
Yeah.
oh man,
yeah.
I really wish I saw that, or because I didn't know that many people in London, and then
Yeah.
you find out about the tour, but it was too late.
Yeah.
It's funny you should mention all that because that was really, I guess, when I think was my real inroads into that. I mean, I was already sort of into punk and hardcore and, listening to whatever Minor Threat and even listening to Judge and a bit of that by then. But it
Yeah,
really was like First Strike, Armed with Anger, you know, um, me doing my first little emo band as a young kid, you know,
Mm.
going to them shows at the 1 in 12, going to play in London. And I think that's probably where me and you have that real sort of shared foundation or background, really. Because I just wanted to ask, because I remember you got quite into emo as well, didn't you, Darren, really? Like in
oh, I
school.
love it. I still
the,
love it.
the early stuff, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, I still love and play all the time, like Bob Tilton, Moss Icon, all that
Mm.
stuff. I love it.
It's
So
fantastic.
yeah, but I definitely got a bit obsessed with it in the early 90s. I was thinking about this the other day. I sort of get really obsessed by a scene. So like obviously early on it was heavy metal, then it was late 80s thrash metal, then early 90s death metal, then just a little bit after that 90s emo. There's always like I don't know, I get a bit obsessed. I don't know why, but yeah.
Mm. It's a magic feeling as well when you're a kid, like age just your formative years, and you're just starting to discover stuff. And I was a bit the same. Like stuff I discovered first, it's stuff that had kind of already been and gone, like Black Flag and Minor Threat and that.
Yeah.
And when you realize that there's that stuff still happening, and there's new bands coming through and
Yeah,
bands
it's great.
your age as well, it's magic. Shit, there's like a whole new world opens up, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, because recently I've been really getting back into. I mean, I always liked it, but I was just a little bit too young. But I love all that, like Heresy, Ripcord,
Mm.
Electro Hippies, that sort of
Yeah.
early UK. I don't know, was it mid to late 80s?
Mid to late 80s, yeah. And it's
I
really
kind
funny because that stuff's like quite expensive. If you talk about vinyl and stuff, but I'm also like, I love the UK scene that came a little bit after that as well, with like Stalingrad and Hard to Swallow and
yeah, yeah,
and that stuff's like cheap as chips on if you're like finding
yeah,
records and stuff. There's just like, there's that, expensive here and then that era nobody else really cares about, which we were all involved in, like from
it's a weird,
early
I
to
think
mid
there's a
90s.
kind of fetishization of certain areas and
Yeah.
certain areas come back into vogue or become trendy again.
Yeah.
That's not to discredit how important them bands were because I
No.
still love all that stuff. Like, I got listening to Heresy probably when I was about 13, 14 because my mate Mark, who lived in the town down the road, who was into skateboarding like me. And at that time, that's how you got to know a lot of those bands through skateboarding mags or fanzines.
yeah.
But
Same.
it's really funny though, that like you say, there's that whole period that probably we were into stuff that's not yet come back and become trendy again or
No,
really
exactly.
of interest. But maybe it will.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, we saw a lot of those bands probably at the 1 in 12.
Yeah,
Yeah, like Stalingrad, Hard to
yeah,
Swallow,
Yeah.
Keto, Boxed In.
yeah.
They were great bands.
Oh yeah,
Boxed in, that was it. And now we sound like old man, but boxed in, that was a great fucking
yeah.
great
Yeah,
band, great
Baby
record.
Up Seal though, Dead
Yeah.
Wrong, even
you know,
Fabric. Late a little bit later. I loved all that stuff. That was kind of at that time for me. I loved that. One thing I wanted to ask Darren, it's not specifically related to music, but I think it is. It's kind of like without being too assumptuous. You're kind of like a working class lad as me, really, right? You consider
yeah.
yourself to come have them sort of origins. I don't know do you think that kind of in any way affected your relationship with the music, or maybe even I don't know, because I just always think when I think back to being young and I think about when I got into a lot of that stuff, it almost felt like it was an escape from some of my background in a way.
I think skateboarding and heavy metal were an escape from, I mean, I love my parents, but it had a weird upbringing. You just want to get out every day, go and skateboard. I just think it's just you want to hang out with your mates.
Mm.
It was just, I think, all of that's a sort of a bit of an escape, really, when you look back at it.
Yeah.
And but I think also, I think with like sort of hardcore of that, you kind of get really drawn to it. Like I think with the sort of the politics, the people, just say for instance, someone like Sned who pressed stuff and kept it in press, and I just liked how people, as cheesy as it all is, you had all the slogans like I don't know, like a network of friends, or like just this sort of stuff that sort of draws you to it. Just
Yeah.
I don't know, you met a lot of good people, a lot of people with similar politics.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's probably a bit of a, I mean, I joined the post office when I was 16. So I guess, when I first started the post office, I used to get up at 3:45 because the guy used to pick me up in Shoreham at 4:30 to get to Brighton. So yeah, I think just going to a gig and meeting people and, just getting out there really, because otherwise I'd just been an exhausted zombie.
Yeah.
Maybe say a little bit now. I think probably good. Well, tell us a little bit about, first of all, we'll get on to obviously the infamous Tadpole Records, but maybe say about like, I mean, what came first? Was you in a band first before you did Tadpole, or did Tadpole come first?
I don't know. I think Tadpole. But the thing is, so originally Tadpole, I got involved because do you remember Tim and Mark who done Refusing It Records?
Yeah, yeah,
So they were doing the Underclass 7-inch,
right.
and I love Underclass, and I just wanted to get involved really. So I didn't have much of a say in. I just sort of helped him out with financially and distro and that sort of thing really. So we done that, and that was back when you'd put a 7-inch out and you'd get 1,000, and they cost about £1 each or so. It's cheap really compared to now. So I'd done a band with Tim, and that was called Unslug,
Yeah,
which is a terrible band name.
That's a great.
And then we also done a little project because do you remember Pete was also Kitchener drummer?
I remember Kitchener. Yeah, I
He's an
don't know
amazing
him
drummer.
personally, but I remember the band. I loved Kitchener.
Yeah, so we done this. It was basically a one-off gig at the Free Bar in Brighton, and the band was called Black Cabbage Polaroid. Another great name. So yeah, that was round about the same time. So I guess that would have been early 90s. But nothing, not a serious band, not like, like we were saying earlier, like, Stalingrad or Hard to Swallow, like someone that put records out and toured, and these were kind of just quite sort of little fun projects, I guess.
What were Unslug and was it Black Cabbage Polaroid?
Yep.
What did they sound like? What were your influences?
God, I don't know. I know there's some Unslug footage on YouTube because Sned sent me it.
Oh, really? I got
Yeah,
That's
check
going
that out.
on.
Yeah, it's just noisy, manic. I mean, I love Kitchener. The Kitchener 7-inch is one of my favourite like English records.
I
But
never
it's
heard
very
that.
much like that
Good to
sort
know.
of Tim's manic, crazy,
Yeah.
punk. But yeah, just not sort of straightforward listening. I think the Black Cabbage Polaroid was more like long, epic, but it's so long ago now I can't even remember it.
You got those like practice room tapes?
No, nothing
I
of
was
that
gonna say,
band.
Clint had put them out straight away.
Yeah,
Good short
it
for
was
you.
before that sort of time, so you didn't really, I don't know, you didn't really document so much stuff. It was just having a laugh with your mates,
Yeah.
and then yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I wish there was a bit of a record. I'd love to hear it. It's really funny, actually. I'll tell you a story. So with the Black Cabbage Polaroid, whenever I go out drinking, well, as in, say 10 years ago or so, I'd always bump into this guy, and it would be like if I was getting chips in a kebab shop or end of the night in a pub or whatever. And this guy always come up to me, the same guy, and he's like, "Oh man, that Black Cabbage Polaroid gig, It's one of my favourite gigs ever living in Brighton.
Amazing.
He always
Oh.
comes up and tells me it's hilarious. I don't remember it being that good. I reckon he was drunk.
Well, so maybe tell us a bit more then about Tadpole. Maybe a little bit more about the bands you started to release, how that kind of progressed, and maybe say a little bit, maybe, how that actually came to an end for you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I think the 7 inch was in like the underclass was about 97. So I had like about, is it 10, 15 year break or something? I don't know. It was like a massive break. I didn't do anything else. And then at the time, Brighton had a really good scene, like really good hardcore scene. So it had like Abandoned Ship, Burning
Yeah.
Times, End the Agony. There was just like really loads of different bands. I mean, Abandoned Ship were like huge at the time. They were
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Out to
People would
Rob.
turn up, go mad, dance, like really nice gigs.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just sort of felt like I'd start it up again. So I think the next thing I'd done was a Burning Times 7 inch.
Yeah.
And they were great as well. So yeah, and then it just kind of sort of steamrolled where I got really into Burnt Cross. I don't know if
Yeah.
you know them.
Yeah.
I love Rob and can't think of his brother's name now, but yeah, but I love them. It's just this one man band project in his bedroom doing anarcho punk,
Yeah.
and I think that sort of carried the label because people also really like that as well.
Super
Um,
catchy political anarcho
Mm.
punk on it.
yeah, it was just
Yeah.
sort of the right time, you know. I guess if you like Cress, that sort of thing, maybe. Um, and yeah, that just it sort of just carried on from there. There'd be I do started off doing Brighton bands like In the Agony 7 inch, so I've done it with Ralph OP8 Records, and then as it went on, I sort of done a couple of bands from Japan because I really like that metal punk sort of stuff like Parasite, Birth Ritual.
Yeah.
Um, so I've done a few things like that. Trying to think where else. Oh, I put out a 7 inch by a band from Barcelona called Vertigo,
Yeah. Dead
who
popular.
I love that record. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I love all that sort of Barcelona, Spanish, you know, I'm a big fan of that sort of sound.
I remember when you put
Um,
it out. Good. It's a good.
yeah.
Yeah.
What
And
era
then,
was
yeah,
that then?
sorry.
Vertigo. What era was Vertigo? What year was that? Around what time?
Oh, when do we come over for Crudos?
Gosh, now you're asking. It was after Callie and Hank was born, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say
Ten,
10, 12 years ago, was it? Something like that?
yeah. So maybe 10 years ago. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
I think I come over and saw them with you.
Yes.
Um,
So was it the same time Krudos played that
Might
show?
have been, yeah. Um, and I just really like them. I really like the sound. I've always liked the stuff Paco puts out from that sort of Barcelona scene. So I was really happy to do that 7 inch.
Well, it's got
Um,
people from Total Liquors and other bands,
Oh,
right? If I
okay.
remember rightly.
Those guys.
oh, I don't know. The drummers in was it
Unabastia.
Una Biesta? Yeah,
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
the big lad,
yeah.
the bear.
John.
But quite more sort of like melodic-y, sort of just tuneful punk, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a lot of
and
good
then
stuff.
yeah, I think I sort of got to the point where it's just I don't know, everything just got so expensive.
Yeah.
You know, as much as a record store day might have saved the odd shop, as soon as all the major labels got involved, suddenly, you know, the prices went up. I was getting stuff done at CZ, and it just seemed like you had to buy the whole package now. Whereas before, with Burnt Cross, I'd get the 7 inch in the white bag, and then I'd get Buzz or a local printer to make some covers.
Mm.
But it all sort of changed with the pressing plants where, you know, you'd have to get the package deal where, you know, their cardboard covers cost as much as the records.
Hmm.
Um, and it kind of just, I don't know, it killed the fun out of it really because, you know, I've never done it it's not been my job or business. It's always just been a bit of fun that I do after work.
Mm.
But yeah, as soon as, you know, you're paying 2 grand, you know, that's a lot of money to gamble,
It is.
you
And
know.
that's really obviously had the effect of like, it's like there's a bit of this struggle going on now with the team of 7 inches. Because for me, like, especially with punk music, 7 inch was always my favorite format. I've got
Yeah.
I don't know, well over 1,000 7 inches. And it's like, I love, because you can just rattle through them and it's like all really fast, intense stuff. And it's always been my favorite format. But it's like, you hear a lot of people complaining now that it has just got so, I know, of course, they're expensive to make and like,
Yeah,
and inflation being the way it is. But at the same time, I have this constant sort of like, back and forth with people over here in Sweden where people are like, oh yes, there's no point doing 7 inches anymore. You may as well just do a 12 inch because it costs too much. And then you're talking about you have to like take probably have to charge like around 10, like 100 crowns for a 7 inch. And it's like, yeah, that is expensive if you still, but at the same time, that's what a fucking pint costs these days as well, you know.
yeah. I
And
mean,
if you think about it that way, I mean, yeah, a pint or a 7 inch, then it doesn't feel too bad. I mean, I'm happy buy a 7 inch,
That's a
you know.
song in the making. A pint, a 7 inch. A 7 inch
But
not
it
a
is, I
pint.
mean, because but it's like it does feel like there's always been this thing a bit where there's an expectation that in whereas inflation affects the rest of the world, it shouldn't affect. I mean, I like we were selling t-shirts for a tenner in the late 90s, and we were still selling for a tenner 20 years later. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
going
yeah,
over that. It's like it's taboo, kind of. It's
It's like
crazy.
people still complaining of paying like five, I don't know, 7, 8 quid for a gig, and like,
Yeah,
and nothing's really gone up when it comes to DIY bands that are still touring. And they have
yeah.
to pay a lot of money for fuel, whatever they have to pay for.
Exactly. Like Darren says, I mean, making something it costs a lot of money to make them, so that has to obviously affect everything else. And it's
Yeah,
like you say about touring and stuff. I mean, there's no you haven't if you're out touring and fucking gasoline costs what it does, then you haven't got like a little card saying I'm in a punk band. Here's my
hey, give me a
discount
discount,
card.
mate.
discount,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
student discount.
Yeah,
Old,
exactly.
we should have
Exactly.
old punk discounts, old bastard punk discounts.
I'm
Oh,
all
how
for
old are
that.
you? Have you ever 40, you ever 50? Oh, you get 50% off, mate. 40 off, 40% off. Um, so what was I mean, before we get on to how things have changed, maybe, what was the last Tadpole release?
I think it was the Parasite LP.
Was it?
Yeah, I think so. I think I was quite because back. I think I was obviously having a child as well around about the same time. It's like suddenly I can't really gamble 2 grand on something, if it flops. Because the funny thing was the joke in Brighton was if a band signed to Tadpole, they usually broke up. So I was trying to sell, but Burning Time 7 inches when they broke up. I was trying to sell um, the End the Agony 7 inches when they broke up. Sea Bastard stopped for a bit when I'd done their double LP.
The Doom
It's
band,
like,
right?
oh my God, try selling like 500 copies of a 7 inch when the band don't even exist.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
I think
so
the Hank thing is probably an important thing. Like how maybe Hank changed that then a little bit for you, maybe.
yeah, I think when you've got kids and you suddenly, before if you're on your own, you're single, whatever, just you can kind of gamble a bit with your money. But as
Mm,
soon as you have a kid, you've kind of got to be a bit like, well,
yeah.
I've got 2 grand here. Do I put it towards, whatever he needs, or am I going to risk it? Because it's like I say, it wasn't my job. It was a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Um, so I emailed Aston, who does Boss Tunage,
Yeah,
and so we done it as a co-release
yeah,
because obviously he's way more set up and he's got it. It's like his job business. He's a proper label,
yeah.
Mm.
and it's sold out straight away, so it's great. But it was, I was really glad to be involved in it. I think it's a fantastic record. So I'm kind of just happy. I'm just happy to have a copy myself.
Mm.
I'm I'm that kind of nerdy person where I'm just like, when the I'd done the Crypsis record, which is a local thrash metal band, and I couldn't get anyone involved. No one was interested. So I ended up just getting 50 test presses. I just got my friend to screen print some covers just so as I could have one.
Mm.
So there's
I
there's
love
49 more out there.
you can still
Uh,
relate to that because that's what it's all about. And it's like most people I know do this kind of stuff. They do it because they want a copy of something themselves, and it's like, well,
yeah,
then, yeah,
you know,
let's do
and
it.
also I'm I'm well aware that not everyone else is going to love it like me or enjoy it. It's just because I like it, it doesn't mean everyone else is going to like it. That's cool, but I'm quite happy. I'm quite happy just having one myself.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, yeah, just thinking about records and stuff. I remember going around your house just after you was preparing to sell all your records, all your 7 inches. Oh my God. I just remember getting around to yours, Darren. Can you remember? I stayed over and I think you had them all like because Paco bought them all, right? Or a lot of them, didn't he?
Yeah, I think I've got a photo of you standing in the 7 inches.
Like drowning in 7 inches.
Yeah.
But do you still buy 7 inches? Now you've
No,
got. I know
no.
Paco sends you a few, doesn't he? Like,
Yeah, he sends me the odd bit of bob that I really like because I love all the sort of Spanish stuff he puts out and South
yeah.
American stuff. Like, I would say as a record label, his taste of that style, I love it. It's
So we
really
probably should say what label that is, because just
oh,
to,
La Vida es a Muse.
yeah.
Probably saying that wrong. My Spanish isn't there,
No, I love it. It's perfect.
but
You're probably like the you're like probably the main salesperson, I reckon, for La Vida.
There you
You're
go.
always, you're always big up in all the stuff, aren't you?
yeah,
Like,
I've got a hole in my hoodie. I wear his hoodie all the time, so much it's got a hole in it, but I don't want to let it go.
um, so so nowadays, I mean, obviously you get the odd thing sent to you. How are you consuming music? How are you listening to music?
Oh, YouTube.
YouTube,
Oh,
mate.
really? Mm.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can't afford records now. Like I'm a single dad now. Records are what are they? £20 an LP, £12 a
Mm.
7 inch. Over here. So yeah, there's a few. I think there's a few good like YouTube channels. Like, is it Philo Punk?
Yeah,
There was one called
Wow.
No Time or No.
I can't
That's sort
remember.
of all the hardcore stuff. But
Mm.
yeah, just YouTube. I mean, I pretty much play most of my music on YouTube nowadays.
It
Mm.
should be
And if
pointed
it's
out.
something up, so
You do a
if
good.
it's something old, I put it on my YouTube channel, so I
I was
know
going
where
to
it is.
say, yeah.
Mm.
I was just going to say, Darren's got a good YouTube channel, is it? You put a lot of good stuff up on there, so people should check that out.
Mm.
What's it
What's
A
the
called?
lot
name
of good and a lot of bad.
Well, it's all perspective, isn't it?
of
Yeah, a bit. I was putting some '90s emo on this week, so it's still I'm
Oh,
still fighting the emo corner.
Yeah.
oh no.
Can
But
remember?
that's like the guy who Carl who put their last alarm 7 inch out. That he's like from like svensk hardcore and kultur, like Swedish hardcore and culture, and his main thing is like a YouTube channel, and it's mainly like old clips and old like just transferred from old handheld video camera VHS stuff, and and then he'll do some newer releases as well, like actual physical releases. But yeah, his main ground is like YouTube and old clips of stuff and all that, and has got a
Yeah.
good following.
I've got to say that's the main way I listen to stuff nowadays, actually, and find stuff out. I actually find stuff out through often it's what Darren's putting out or suggesting. I go give that a listen, or listen
Mm.
to that Philo Punk stuff as well, Fellow Punk as well.
Trusted source.
Yeah. I
Not
wouldn't say I
always.
like everything Darren likes, to be honest. But Darren pretty much is a sound bet when it comes to stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But I think the thing is as well though, probably all of us, as you get older, you meet people that you have similar tastes. Like Ralph from OP8. He sends me a lot of like obscure stuff from like Yugoslavia, or he finds all the weirdest like little thing. But I think he knows the sort of type of music we like.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you kind of get a bit of a taste. Like I say, I like a lot of the sort of Spanish, South American, I mean, that whole scene where Muro's from,
Yeah.
Mm.
you
Yeah.
know, I love it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
All those bands just seem to be amazing. But,
I think there's something in that as well, and that's what I'd like to ask as well about the whole experience of discovering music. Like I don't know, being a kid going to like for me, for example, going to Selector Disc in Nottingham and like
Mm.
looking through all the 7 inches, all the 12 inches, or going to a distro at a show. Again, I'll say Old Angel in Nottingham because that's where I spent a lot of time, or going up to London, and going to I don't know, Rough Trade and something like that, and spending all that time and discovering stuff, or through the little paper handouts you get. Do you still get that same kind of buzz, do you think?
oh, I don't know really. I mean, I don't think you get the same digital has not got the same buzz. Like I can still remember like ordering records from Alan's in Wigan, the shop.
Yeah.
And I probably got a pile of like the Outspoken 7 inch, the Mouthpiece 7 inch,
Yeah.
Turning Point, Drift Again, all that early sort of hardcore sort of like positive straight edge sort of. And I spent probably like a half a day, reading the lyrics,
Yeah.
playing them, like you were saying earlier about 7 inches. Like I love the 7 inch format,
Mm.
and you could just sit there for like hours, just playing one, playing another one, playing another one. It's just
Mm.
great. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I still like seeing gigs. I still like seeing the bands live, and I still hear music. Like I get as excited about something like the new Trayadora LP, just like I did with Los Crudos.
Mm.
It's just there's always new bands evolving. So
Are you,
yeah,
are you going out to shows as much or?
yeah, I do. I mean, I have my boy like sort of nearly half the week, so I don't really do weekend gigs now. But I still go to gigs. Once a week, once every 2 weeks.
Is that mainly in Brighton, Darren, or
Yeah,
is it
Brighton. I
still
kind
a good scene there, or is there
Yeah,
some
it's all right. Yeah,
venues?
there's bands. There's always there's a lot of good local bands like sort of you've got Moody Goods, which is just a sort of bit more of a punk band.
Mm.
Got Mortal Carcass, who sound more like I don't know early Venom sort of stuff. Electric Cowboy Club, a bit more rocky. You've got lots of different sort of styles, and there seems to be a really good scene at the moment from in Eastbourne,
Oh,
which is
really?
about another 8 miles the other way.
Right.
Um, and I think I went to a gig on Eastbourne Pier, and it was great. It really reminded me of a gig back in the day because I think Brighton, we're a bit spoiled. We've got loads of gigs, loads of bands. It's great. I'm not complaining. But the gig in Eastbourne, it was like, you remember when you went to a gig and it would be like, you'd have like the metalheads there, the punks there, the goths there. It was like, because
Everyone.
there's
Yeah.
nothing going on.
Yeah.
It was like the end of the pier was just full of all the sort of freaks and weirdos. And I say that as one of them.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a really, really good gig. It was like, really just something special. And
Yeah.
I think they're trying to build that scene up.
Oh, brilliant.
I know Sean.
Yeah.
Do you know Sean McKee, Darren?
Yeah, he was there.
Yeah, because Sean lives out that way now, and I think he's like, I think if I remember, because I saw him, we saw him at that show in Brighton, didn't we, during the summer?
Yeah. He does a really good fanzine called, I think,
Exactly.
Hooked Lung.
What's it called?
I think it's called Hooked Lung.
That's it. He was talking about
Long.
that when we was down at that show.
Really good, really positive, really, sort of captures the scene.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a great little fanzine.
Oh, good on Sean. Should probably talk to Sean at some point. Um, I think there's quite like there's a big sort of hardcore, like new hardcore scene in there, like in Brighton. You get a lot of those kind of, I don't know, like beat down bands and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I mean that's really big in Brighton. It's not
Mm.
really my thing, so I don't really go to that sort of thing. But it's good. They've built it up. It's a really big scene. I think the gigs sell out.
Yeah.
It's not really my style. I really like State Funeral, and there was an era of hardcore in Brighton a few years ago.
Yeah.
Um,
Them.
but I've never really been, even like back in the day, I was never really that into like, I've seen bands like Marauder and that sort of thing, and they're all right, but it's not my passion, if you know what I mean.
Mm.
Yeah. I'm also
Yeah.
scared for my spine's well-being. My physical health couldn't take a spin
Yeah.
kick to the head.
Marauder weren't 90s emo enough for me.
Um,
But that scene's coming big again. It's the same here in Sweden. It's like all the young bands are. There's a lot of straight edge again, which is cool as well. But yeah, a lot of that beat down stuff, and there's like a lot of bands from the UK coming over to play in Sweden as well. And
Okay.
yeah, I don't really know a lot of them. I just know like Henke, our friend the car play sings an alarm. He's like got a check and all that stuff, and goes to a lot of it and that. But
yeah.
yeah, it seems like that seems to be a thing that's happening at the minute. And also like a bit of I've seen this one band, like at Cafe 44 called Akimbo, and they're like 16 or something from Uppsala. And they were just like a mix of everything. They started
Yeah.
out sounding like they came on sound like Rage Against the Machine, and then it burst into like Minor Threat, and then it burst into like something else and beat. I was like, this is awesome. They're just doing whatever the fuck they want. It's like just
I'll have to check
everything
them
they
out.
love. Yeah, it was cool.
I don't know about you two, but I'm kind of regressed even further now, where I just like to see the most oddball, imperfect band play the silliest, smallest venue going. That to me is like the most ideal situation,
Oh
bordering
yeah.
on someone's front room, and just like, yeah, it's more about that for me. And I think that's what kind of,
It's like unpretentious, isn't it?
yeah, it takes me back to what you were saying, Darren, and what we talked about before, Gaz, kind of like what I liked when I was dead young, and
Mm.
I like that even more now. I kind of
Mm.
really have a kind of longing for that.
Mm.
I was going to say, because so the last band you've done, Darren, was Ättestor, right?
Yeah.
So do you want to say a little bit about that and about how why you kind of stopped sort of doing that?
Yeah, well, that started. We just started before lockdown, and I've known Steve for ages. So Steve's in Harrow now.
Yeah,
He's a really good guy. I've known him for years, and him and Ant was like one of my favorite drummers.
it's great,
Absolutely phenomenal drummer.
amazing.
Um, and I think I joked on Facebook about shouting in the band, and it turned out them two had been just jamming together. Just really fast sort of stuff. And yeah, I just ended up doing that. So we started as a three piece, and it kind of picked up really well. Like we'd done quite well in the short time we were about. But then obviously COVID happened and lockdown.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, we sort of I think done an LP, done about three splits. Um, I mean, they're just them two are just machines at just writing stuff and that. With
You
this
said
guy
you
Luke
were singing
Joy,
in that, or
what's that?
you singing in that band, or
Yeah, I was just
yeah.
shouting in it. And then yeah, we had all these great gigs lined up, and then lockdown happened. So I've got all the flyers for these great gigs we never done. Um, and I think what was it? We had to wait about a year and a half.
Mm.
And then we done a few gigs and that, but I think between us, we had something like 8 kids.
Mm.
So it was like if it's either sorry we've got to cancel this gig because our drummer's got COVID, or sorry we've got to cancel the gig because one of our kids is ill,
Mm.
and it was just a bit of a ball ache, really. We just I think we should have been more of a project, but it went really well. It's really good. But to be honest with you, I didn't really like singing, like being the front person. I didn't like that at all. It's not for me.
Was that the first time you did that?
In a proper band, I think with
Yeah.
people actually, buying records and like, I've done the Unslug, both Unslug and Black Courage Polaroid I sung,
Okay.
but that was back in the '90s where I just rolled around the floor, like Bob Tilton and probably like hid from everyone. Uh, but this was a band that actually people seem to like. I mean, we've done a couple of really good gigs in Bristol, Brighton at the Pipeline. Um, but yeah, I think I prefer watching a band than
Mm.
being in a band.
Yeah,
Like definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love going and seeing a band, watching a band, but yeah, being the front person wasn't for me.
So that's based on actually you prefer being in the crowd than being on the stage,
Yeah,
basically. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. So we've done it for a bit, and then yeah, I just said to them, yeah, I'm not really enjoying this, And I think if you're not enjoying something, and it's a shame because it was really good, and I definitely like appreciate it more now. Like at the time, I was like, oh, this is all right, whatever. But yeah, I'm quite happy with the recordings. It's good. It's like I say, Ant's an amazing drummer. The practicing was fun, the recording studio was fun, but just the live gig,
Mm.
I think as well when you've got kids, because like I say, I look after Hank Saturday to Tuesday.
Mm.
It's like, am I going to spend my weekend sitting in the van going to Bristol, so I
Yeah.
don't have him Saturday or Sunday to go and play for 20 minutes?
Yeah.
I'd rather. I mean, my boy's 13 now, but at the time, I'd rather hung out with him. No
Yeah.
offense to a tester, but I like him more than a sweaty punk band. Yeah,
We can all relate to that. Yeah.
yeah, So
Because I remember once waking up on the floor in like this really manky carpeted floor above the Old Angel
uh,
when Sean Duggan was running it. And we played there with like DB, I think. It was DB, yeah.
Diagnosis Bastard for those who don't.
Yeah, and I think Polly then was like, it was probably the first trip I did since becoming a dad. And I think like, so Polly was probably, I don't know, she wasn't one anyway. And just waking up with like a bit of a banging head on this carpet with like, horror. I'm just thinking, what the fuck am I doing here? It's like, I should be
yeah,
home with my baby.
it's kind of that balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
So and I mean, it's really nice, but we done really well. That's the thing. We come out of lockdown. and people seemed to like the LP. So we were getting offered a lot of stuff,
Mm,
but I just couldn't do a lot of stuff. Like I don't, if I've got a kid, I
yeah,
don't want to be away every weekend.
yeah.
You know, I just don't think that's fair on him.
No, and I think if you get into that situation there where it's like it's it's really fun stuff. But like you say, when you're first like always is, can I do this? Oh, it's like a bit of anxiety around that. I've got my kid and stuff. It
Yeah,
ends up kind of taking more energy than it gives, kind of thing. And you know, it must be it's a hard thing to balance, kind of thing. Right?
yeah, and you know, at the time I'd had to sort childcare out, and you know,
Yeah,
it was such a big thing, you know.
yeah.
So I'm very
Like
glad
I
I've
say, you're
done
not
it.
doing it for a career, are you? It's supposed to
No,
be fun, and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, yeah.
I mean, I think I've got the solution. Sell the kids.
This is the kid.
Ali,
Well,
go.
That
um,
was like my dad with our dog. My dad was over like a couple of years ago, and we had our old dog Bonzo, and it was a big boy, like, and he had to have this like specialist food because he had some sort of weird stomach allergy thing. And I just happened, my dad was just happened to be over, and I had to go to the vet and pick up a new 10-kilo bag of this food, and I bought it. And we got back home. My dad's like, how much was that fucking dog food? And I was like, oh, don't worry about it. It's like, how much was it? It was like, oh, it's this specialist fucking sign. It's a big 10-kilo bag. How much was it? I was like, well, it's like 900 crowns. It's about 100 quid. And my dad just looked at me and went, get rid of the dog.
you and your woke dogs.
Yeah. Get rid of it.
It's funny, Dan, because you were saying about like how you feel uncomfortable singing.
yeah,
And I've talked to Gaz about this, but I feel I have such a mixed relationship with it nowadays. I
yeah,
think, I think I have done for a long time because I've always been quite shy, believe it or not. Always, I used to be super shy and super anxious, socially anxious as a kid. And when I used to get on stage, I'd either be pissed or it'd be kind of like an escape. But as
yeah,
I've got older and older and older, I just don't want people to see me. It's a really weird thing. I want to do the music, but I don't want people to see me. And I've
yeah,
really, really, really struggled with that. And
yeah,
and like you're saying, I love making, hanging out with my mates, uh, going to the practice studio. I like writing stuff. But the playing thing, I have such a mixed relationship with it. I like
Mm.
when I'm on there, I really enjoy it. But then, it's a really weird thing, and I don't know if that's got more so as I've got older. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
And
Mm.
But see, I like, you know, like I like being involved. Like, you know, maybe if I write something for a fanzine or like my YouTube channel, like I kind of like doing my stuff. Like I've done a few benefits for the band camp for a bit, but the other day I got invited to DJ, and I'm like, I don't really want to do it. I don't feel comfortable. Like I like being involved from the sort of sidelines, if that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
And
Mm.
being the centre person on a stage is just my idea of hell.
Yeah. Same with me. That's why I've never, I mean, I can't sing out. My voice is weak as fuck, but
That hasn't stopped
like,
us.
that's why I've always played guitar because it feels like singing. And I'm also, I think it's probably maybe a common thing was punks or whatever, but I'm also quite shy in that sense. And you put a mic in front of my mouth on a stage, or even like if I have to, like, I'm from at work sometimes and you're doing a presentation, it's something about having a microphone. It's, you feel totally exposed.
Yeah.
And it feels so much more hidden playing behind a guitar just off to the side. And, you know, yeah, it's a weird
But,
thing.
I think also because I come from I really like what I was sort of really drawn to with a lot of the hardcore stuff and the bands I like now, bands like, you know, like Drop Dead, Los Crudos, you know, bands that kind of had something to say as well.
Mm.
yeah,
So I feel like I should be saying something, but the thought of me trying to do a speech in front of a group of punks is just no way happening. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
but all the Attestor stuff though, I mean, it's pretty political stuff. And what I really liked about that, two things I really liked about, well, several things I liked about that Attestor stuff. First, obviously the music's amazing. It's like brutal. Secondly, I just like your honest to hear your accent. I can hear your voice. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah, I
like I
love
can
that.
hear your regional voice, and I really like that in music. It's not this like kind of affected voice. And I also just like the straight up honest lyrics. They're like all of them are pretty like saying something, you know.
Yeah.
So I really honestly,
I understand, Darren, it's a difference between singing stuff and then like having to say stuff between songs if you're a bit shy and
Yeah.
that's a different thing.
I mean, I bet did you spend loads of
You do
time
it
like
pretty
working
well,
out what
Carl.
wardrobe to wear before you got on the stage?
Picking which black t-shirt.
Yeah, I bet he was allowed to wear shorts.
Yeah.
I bet he was. That's another theme of this pod thing we're doing, the shorts question.
I've got shorts on now and it's cold, so
Yeah, that seems to be quite an English hardcore punk thing,
I've
isn't
got my sweatpants on, my jogging bottoms.
it?
Never get away with that on stage.
but I am an ex-postman.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you're tough. You're
yeah.
you're tough. You're tough. You know, like thinking about it, like I was just thinking about self-consciousness and stuff. You know, like when you go to shows now, and obviously everyone's getting younger, we're getting older. The gap's getting bigger. Do you ever
Mm.
feel like kind of self-conscious or feel like shit, I'm really old here? Or I mean, obviously some shows, you know, if you went to a Drop Dead show, for example, my assumption is you're not going to feel that old, right? But some of
Mm.
the shows, like all the new stuff coming out, you know, there's going to be at times a notable difference, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I think we're quite lucky down here because like if I go to a show, there's quite often, Ralph will be there who does Opec Records, Pete who writes for Suspect Device, Pete for Constant Terror. So it's not even like I'm the oldest one.
Mm.
There's a few, there's at least a group of older people, and but I'd also say there's a lot of young kids that are really nice, friendly.
That's
They
great.
they kind of, I think the days of, I remember when I was young, you go to a gig and there'd be like that one older person with like a carrier bag with records, sort of standing on their own. But I think
Mm.
we've been more accepted, us
Yeah.
older men with carrier bags of records.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't think it's carrier bags of records anymore. It's like carrier bags of painkillers and some cheap tins from down the road because you can't afford to buy a pint.
Knee pads, knee support.
Yeah, back braces.
But I remember, Al Quint, who writes in
Yeah, yeah.
Maximum and all those other and his zine and all that. I remember he wrote like a piece in Maximum about getting older in the punk scene and how like he was so blessed to feel as part of the punk scene since he even getting on towards 60, he still felt like it was no weird thing for him to go to like a basement show somewhere in the States and watch a punk band and nobody was questioning who he was or why he was there or who's the old fart, you know what I mean? It's like, and I don't know if it's like that in every scene, but I think it is generally
Yeah.
more like that.
I mean, I've definitely been to gigs where I'm like, you know, I went to a hip hop gig and I literally felt like I was on school pickup.
Yeah.
Like everyone looked about, to me, they looked about full, but they're obviously over the 16, but or whatever, 18, but they all looked about 12.
Yeah.
And I literally watched the band when I was like, I can't even like chat to anyone or so. I felt so old, but
Yeah.
but in general, I think it's got a really nice, friendly scene. There's people that do a lot. In Brighton, you've got like so Demetrius does Stray for Life. You've got Oscar does Burning Water. You've got Connor does BM1,
Mm.
Punk Picnic. So you've got different people doing different.
Yeah.
There's a bit of punk, bit of hardcore, bit of beatdown, metal gigs. So it's quite a sort of varied sort of scene still, even if it is a bit. There's
Mm.
definitely groups, but there is a
Yeah.
little bit of crossover.
I mean, there's always going to be that younger generation who are doing their thing, and we've got like a lot of that now. It's
Yeah, which is cool. It's
it
good.
is
It's
cool
good.
because
It's
that's
just
like
doing.
exactly. But
Yeah.
it's reminded me of something you said there, Darren, about like comparing the punk scene to other maybe that happened to me quite a few years ago now. But when I went back to studying when I was like 36, when we had our daughter and stuff, and I was working running the bar until then, and thought, all right, I need to do something else now. I've got a baby, I can't run a bar anymore. But so the upshot was I ended up studying at like this community college where I was like 36 and by far among like the older ones there. But and I was studying with this like bunch of like 19, 20-year-old kids who were like this nice group of people and they were like really into music, but not they knew nothing about punk. But they got really fascinated in me and wanted to come and see a punk show with me. So they came to like Cafe 44 and I think maybe I was playing, maybe it was a victim show or something, but they thought it was really fun to come and experience this world they had no idea about.
Yeah.
And then the deal was that I had to go with them to one of their things. And it was like some sort of what's it called? Trap, like that really slow sort of hip hop stuff. And
That trap stuff,
but
right? That bit.
yeah, it
Trap.
got really big over here with like Young Lean and Sad Boys Collect, all that
Oh yeah,
stuff.
Young
That
Lean. Yeah.
I had no idea about. But how, and it was at like the Royal Theatre. It was like this kind of big showcase gig at the Royal Theatre in Stockholm. So it was a really nice venue. And I went there with them. And then by there, I was like, felt like some fucking weird old man. Like amongst, it's just, I was like 20 years older than everyone kind of thing. And then I really did like, fuck, this is, that's a totally different scene. And the
Yeah.
funny thing was, after the show, they had, there was like a bit of a mingle in the bar and that. And I was with these like kids I was at school with. And they were like freaking out about all the other people that was in the room and all these artists and stuff. And they like turned this girl, Maya, turned around to me and she's like, how can you be this fucking cool in here? It's like, you're like not fussed at all. I was like, I literally have no idea who anybody is here. Who the fuck is everyone? I like felt so old, but it was cool as well. It's like,
But it's funny because I think the getting old thing, it to me in my head, it seems like it was like yesterday that I was like opening up a package from Subjugation that had the
mm,
fingerprint 7 inch and the Bob Tilton 7 inches, and it 35 years ago. But
yeah,
it seems like it was like the other day.
I
It's
know.
kind of scary how it's
It is.
you know
And that just reminds me of my dad when I was a kid and he was his era, what our era was for him, it was like the 60s Beatles and Kinks and Stones and all that stuff. And he used to talk about that in like the late 80s about how the 60s just felt like it was yesterday. Whereas to me in the late 80s, the 60s felt like a million years before. It was like history.
yeah.
And it's like when somebody said to me the other day, oh, like 90, we're talking about some record that came out like 91, 92, and it was like fucking 30 odd years ago. Like, shit. Now we're there. Like now we're in like what my dad was talking about in the 60s, kind of late 50s.
The interesting thing though about all like when you think about punk and hardcore, it kind of evolves and stays the same. So it's kind of like new kinds of things
Mm,
that people are coming aware of, like there's a much more of a stronger movement to incorporate and like have a post-colonial or a decolonial perspective in things and like a lot more. It's great to see a lot more sort of trans bands emerging. And so things are changing, but at the same
mm,
time, like particularly with what's going on in the world right now, kind of geopolitically, what's
mm.
going on in the UK, like kind of with, nationalism, like all the stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
It feels like it's more important than it has been in a long time for this music just to continue. And it's not just the music. I know there's people who listen to hardcore and they're like pretty like right of center and from
Mm.
a lot further down that end. But generally, the sort of people and the scenes that we've been a part of, I've been kind of, oh, what's the word, progressive? I don't know what we'll call it,
Yeah.
but I think it just feels more than ever that we need these kind of different modes of expression. And even
Yeah.
if some of them don't seem that like updated in terms musically and sonically, we still need that space for that kind of rage and that kind of
Yeah.
outlet. And
And the feeling of togetherness as well. And like,
yeah, and for me, that's the thing that sort of transcends all the time
mm,
in my own life, but also our connecting to other people, younger
mm,
generations. I don't know what you think about that, but that's just how I feel about it at the moment. It's
mm.
like I'm not going to
Yeah.
stop listening to this music if it's a really good outlet for that.
Yeah.
It's also a way I can identify that I might have good connections with people who share some kind of values that I have, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of benefit gigs and stuff like that. I think there's one in London tonight. So there's a lot of good bands, a lot of good people, a lot of people. I think the problem is you can focus on because of social media all the negative,
Yeah,
but actually there's a lot of good people out there,
Mm,
just trying to do good things and help each other out and create something different and a scene. I
yeah.
think it's kind of important now, like just community, just
Yeah.
like looking out for each other and. I think the problem for me is as because I'm a parent, I can't go to everything. Like I wish it was 20 years ago because
Mm,
I would have loved to have gone to all the gigs in London and all the benefit gigs and all that. There's so many good things happening, but I just haven't got the time and money now.
the good thing is that hopefully Darren the scene will still be there when, 10 years down the line and it's like you're probably back out doing it all again.
Yeah, that's
Because
it.
that's
And
what
it,
it is when your kids
it
get
doesn't
older.
really change too much, does it?
No, no.
oh, you know, that little video I think I shared from the Bird's Nest the other night from the revamped
Oh
Bird's
yeah,
Nest in South
yeah,
London,
yeah.
and
Oh
that
yeah,
band, that black band that's playing with oh God, Matt, is it Max from Hello Bastards is the singer, and the rest of them are from
Right.
Singapore. And I just
Oh
remember
yeah,
that video is this like woman, she's 69 years of age, and she's proper having it, you know,
yeah,
proper having it, and
yeah,
like, you know, so we got plenty of time, you know,
yeah,
we got plenty of time to keep involved and keep going to shows.
yeah.
I wanted to ask Darren, what for you is what do you think's got better over the years in terms of music and scenes, and what do you think for you do you miss most? So like kind of like yeah, what do you think's got better, and what do you think's kind of not so good for you personally?
oh, I don't know. That's a weird. That's
Hell of a question, Carl.
yeah. How's it got better? I mean, for all its flaws, I think the internet's good. You know,
Yeah,
because
Mm.
yeah,
it's kind of connected us all, and you can sort of check stuff out, and you know, I guess the other problem with the internet is stuff's become a bit more throwaway, if you know what I mean. Like people
forgettable.
were, if I think when I was a kid, it was either you were into heavy metal, you were a geezer, you were into indie like the Smiths and the Cure, or you know, everyone had their kind of sort of paths,
Mm.
which I guess now because you've got the internet, you could just be into something every once, change it every day sort of thing.
Mm.
Um, but I definitely like, you know, I mean, I personally really appreciate the internet during COVID because I was single on my own, you know, basically renting a room, but I could really keep in touch with friends and that, you know, just talk music, talk bollocks,
Right.
you know, just, you know, so I think that's definitely good. Um, I'm not so sure bands becoming so mainstream. It's like, you know, whether that's so good. But that's just probably my own personal. Like you were saying, I'd rather go and see, you know, Treadora in a small venue in Brighton rather than I've never really been into big gigs, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't get anything out of them, you know. Even back in the day when I'd go and see like Motorhead every Christmas, you know, I'd get to a point where I'd watch half an hour, 45 minutes, and I'd be like, I'm done now. You know, I've had my fun. They played Kill by Death, you know, but the whole big venue, bouncers, it's just,
Mm.
I don't know, it's just not for me, you know.
Fair,
So, but yeah, I
fair
don't
enough.
know. I mean, I definitely miss like the 90s, but I never want to sort of like, you know, oh, better back in the day, but I definitely miss the sort of Lost Crudos, Drop Dead, when bands would sort of say stuff and it would really get you pumped up and it was kind of what you believed in. I guess when you're younger, you think the world's going to change, you know.
Yeah.
It's and then you get old and jaded and you're like, nah,
Nothing changed.
yeah, nothing really changed, but I still love Drop Dead and I still love Lost Crudos, so
Yeah, me
I got
too.
something good out of it.
Me, me,
Oh,
me
it was
too.
amazing seeing Crudos over here, and now we're gonna get all fucking stuff. But they played. But the time you were talking about when they came to London and Spain and all that was the time before, wasn't it? And everyone flew everywhere for that. Bit
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
Talatea show that's coming up now, everyone's flying in for it. But
Yeah.
then Crudos came back again. Oh, I don't know when it was, five, six. It was before the pandemic anyway. But they played this.
yeah, they come back. I
Yeah,
bet it
like
was long. I bet it was longer than you think.
I bet it was probably
Yeah,
maybe
but I
10
definitely I
years.
went to that. They played Tea Chances in London.
Yeah.
And that was good. Yeah,
But then they came back a time after that, I think, right? Because then they played. Because I remember like people from Sweden flying over to T Chances, and I was like, couldn't make it, sat here depressed, watching everyone's fucking photos on the internet of the crowd, like bastard. But then they came back and played Sweden, and they played a few shows in Sweden, and they played this tiny place in Stockholm, on this in out in the suburbs of Stockholm, like had like drive your car out there to get to it kind of place, and like a 50 capacity venue, and it was absolutely fucking amazing.
yeah,
Might say Martin's there, like talking between songs and pumping everyone up, and yeah, it was just absolutely fantastic.
yeah. But I think, like I say, like you can't you can't dwell on the past too much because
No.
when Los Crudos come over the first time, it was quite lucky because I was just like, you know, I had a job, I had no responsibilities. I'd go to America, so I saw Crudos a bunch of times in the States as
Mm.
well, you know, and I think now through like say Instagram, like I follow a few people. Like there's Joe who was a drummer of State Funeral and he's Imposter. And that And I just love the fact that these I call them kids, but they're probably 30, but I just love the fact that, they're now doing touring and
Mm.
going to festivals and playing bands and what I was doing in the 90s, they're doing in 2025, and
Yeah.
it's still going. It's just, I'm in my head I'm thinking, oh, I need my bed. But they're still doing it and enjoying it, and it's great. I love watching all the younger generation sort of still getting
Yeah.
out there and touring and using the DIY, just seeing the world just from
Yeah.
punk and hardcore.
That's funny about your bed, Darren. Last week played a gig in Stockholm with my other band, this band Avoid, just an instrumental band. And it was like a Thursday night in Stockholm. And I woke up Thursday morning before going to work. And my first thought when I woke up was, I'm getting too old to play shows on a work night. So I don't know if I should have took a holiday tomorrow. Fuck. And it was like that feeling all day. It's like, oh God. And it's hard
Yeah.
to like get your head out of like work, going straight from work straight to the venue, loading in, and it's like, then I felt quite old that day. And then it was fun to play the show, of course, and we played first and all that. But
But
yeah, I was thinking, gigs on a work night, I don't know if I can keep doing this.
I always remember I went up to one of those festivals at the 1 in 12, and we decided to stay at the 1 in 12 in Bradford. And I got up in the middle of the night, like 3 a.m. to go for a pee. And I come back, and some drunk, crusty woman had got in my sleeping bag. And I was like, I was like 18 then. And I was like, I just wanted my sleep then. So imagine that now.
Yeah.
So I reckon we should probably finish off really about now-ish. But I was going to say, so um, if you had to pick like one or two favorite old records, punk hardcore records, your favorites, what would they be?
The first Drop Dead record,
First Drop Dead record, yeah.
yeah, I can still remember playing that and being absolutely blown away by how did they write all these songs, just the order of it. I think it's perfect. Yeah, I love it. I don't know. Oh, His Hero's Gone,
Oof.
the second LP. I think that was a big game changer for me. Just I think when that come out, like I literally played that to death, like over and over and over. Um, but the thing is, like when I sold the record collection, like because the record collecting got probably more on the hoarding side of,
Mm.
it got out of control. We're looking back at it. Um, but like I say, it's like I sold my record collection, and people are like, "Oh, you sold that," and it's like, "Yeah, but I had to sell it because." I could keep my 90s emo parts. I could keep my, the crossed out power violence. If I kept all the bits I liked, I wouldn't have really sold the collection. So I had to be quite brutal.
You sold a lot then, oh.
Yeah, I kept I've got like a little box of 7 inches and it's the same LPs. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I had a lot of 7 inches.
Mm.
Just too many.
Mm.
I think the thing is when you do a record label as well, people send you stuff or you trade, and then you keep things because you're like, oh, that might be good.
Yeah.
Because you're getting so much stuff, you haven't got the time to play it.
No, I know.
So you keep holding on to these records, and yeah. So I kept like a little box. Paco was really good. He was like, keep the ones you really want. So I kept more like sentimental sort of records,
Mhm.
just ones that really mean something. Things that I'm going to definitely play. So
Yeah.
every now and again I'll just get the box out, have a little play.
Mm.
Um, and like I say, if I miss something, if there's a certain song I miss, I'll go on YouTube. It's pretty much always on.
Yeah.
You can find the most obscure, confused demo from that I never even had before.
Yeah.
Flexies on YouTube now.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so I've not really regretted it. I mean, there might be the odd one or two record that I'm like, oh, maybe, but then I have to tell myself, oh, but it's on YouTube. Don't. I
Mm.
think that's the whole
Yeah.
upbeat old records. That they were like, they don't mean as much to me as they did. You
It's
know,
the thing. You have like that many records. Of course, there's going to be a bunch of records where you never listen to it or you listen to it. Well, I mean, I bought like loads of like $5 records from distros when being touring the States, and it's like you've listened to it once and it's there. But I'm still a bit stuck. I had like a bit of a clear out when I was 18, 19 because I was 19 and broke and needed money for other things like beer and stuff, and sold a lot of my old like death metal records and always regretted that. So I think that's why I have a hard time getting rid of them now.
Dude,
And
I
so when you get to the
sold.
point of a hoarding, I mean, I don't know if you guys know Staffan, who plays drums in Vidro now, but he played in Head Cleaners and had really fast records and all that. And he was at a Diagnosis gig a few years ago and bought like a 12-inch from me at the merch table. And I was like, Staffan, you've got one of these already. He's like, I know, but I can't find it. It's like, I know it's home somewhere. And he's got like 7 inches in his kitchen drawers, It's like, fuck.
But I probably done the same as you. So in the sort of early 90s, when I was getting more into like You for Today and all that sort of stuff, I literally, just because of moving, I sold all my death metal collection. Like, well, as in heavy metal, thrash metal, death metal. And I look back at it now, and back then it was when CDs were cut. So
Yeah.
I got hardly any money from. They literally ended up underneath. There's a pub in Brighton called The Office. It was next to that. And I remember them. They all went underneath in like the £1, £2 box. And these are like early earache stuff, just all that sort of. I'm like, man,
Cost a fortune.
Morbid Angel records going for like £1 or £2, and
Yeah.
because everyone was buying CDs, and and I definitely went a bit buying CDs just because they were cheaper to postage and that.
Yeah.
If you had to pick two or three current favorites, what would they be? New releases.
Oh, the new Tradora LP.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. What's that other one that's just come out on La Vida? Amaratat? We were talking about the other day. Is it?
Kimya's band.
Yeah, Amaratat.
Yeah, I don't know how you pronounce it, but yeah, Kimya's band with I think Simon.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. That's just come out on La Vida as a Muse as well.
Yeah.
So those two. Oh, Tradora. Oh, I'm really looking forward to. There's another London band, and I think they got an LP coming out called Catastrophe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Catastrophe, yeah.
They played the show.
They played the show in January, didn't they?
Yeah.
And that's got one of the people from Tradora's in that band, right?
Yeah.
And they were good. I really like that show.
They got a real good core energy to them, haven't they?
Yeah.
I like a lot of although I can't make a lot of the London gigs, I like a lot of that sort of Tradora, Catastrophe, Dead Name, a bit more, I don't know, like crusty punk, but just it seems a lot more politics.
Yeah, got a message
from a punk side of hardcore as opposed to just hardcore. But I really like a lot of those bands up there. So I think there's a gig on tonight, like a benefit gig, but I can't make it. But there's always that. I think, like you said earlier, like another 5 years, my boy moves out. I'll probably still go up to London and see the odd band, like the odd benefit gig or whatever.
And like you say, Darren, time going as fast as it does, that'll be like tomorrow.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Well, my boy's already now started just hanging out with his mates.
Yeah.
So after 13 years, I've become a little bit redundant. So it's like,
You're never redundant to me, Darren. Never.
I need a new hobby.
Yeah. And if you was to give advice to younger people getting involved in this kind of music, this scene nowadays, or even imagine it was giving advice to your younger self, what would you say based upon what you've learned?
I don't know. I think keep it positive all the time. Just always like I mean, there's loads of bands I don't like, but I don't see the point of just moaning about bands I don't like. I'd rather just big up the bands I do like.
Yeah.
I think it's very easy to get old and jaded, and it was better back in the day. But like I say, I would have liked to have seen the Heresy ripcord early '80s, but I didn't. But I'm sure it was good. But then I was lucky enough to see the Drop Dead Kridos like in the '90s, and I think you have to remember like the young kids. Like Gaz said earlier, they've got their own scene going on, so it's good to sort of support it, and whether you're that into it or not, I think it's always good to be positive. I think with social media, there's enough negative stuff around.
Yeah.
Just don't fall into that trap, I think. But that's just me. But I definitely am someone that likes the whole, the Yanaco when they had all the banners, network of friends, meet his murder, I don't know, whatever, all those sort of old, they'd have the big banners behind them, which funny enough, I think Trayadora do that now. They've got the banners for, trans punks and, queer punks and just, giving someone a space and speaking for people, it's great, I think, to just try and keep it positive, really. I mean, I didn't enjoy a tester, so I just stopped doing it. I didn't not like it. It's just, it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I think there's ways of doing things and,
Like you say, there's enough negativity out there in the rest of the fucking world right now. So
yeah, and I think I come from like, because after metal, I got really into all the sort of stuff like Youth for Today and all that sort of quite positive hardcore, and like you were saying earlier, like Bod and Clifford, who I've known since I was about 16. And I saw them 2 weeks ago. They were down for a gig in London. Both of them still really positive, not going to like every band they see, but they're just generally positive people who just enjoy what they enjoy. And, I think you can sort of, you can learn from that and rub shoulders with people and just enjoy, rather than, I don't want to be sitting in a pub with a pint just moaning about how crap punk's become. Do you know what I mean? It's,
We know some people have made a career out of that, don't we?
yeah, people love it.
Not mentioning no names, but we do know people.
who could that be? We'll have to interview him someday.
But to be fair, that is also a performance in its own right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
but I think we're all different, aren't we? Some people, I'd just rather be positive.
Yeah.
Just everyone's different. Everyone's got their own take on it. That's the beauty of music. We've all got our own take.
Yeah.
We've all got what we take out of it. I'm not really someone. I've never really understood. The people that I like Iron Maiden, and I've got friends that like Iron Maiden, and in 2025 they still just like Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's great. They go to their one big festival and they love it. It's great. But to me, that's my idea of hell. I'd rather, I like going and seeing, Dead Name, a new punk band, play in a basement, hang out with friends, have a couple of drinks. Just, we've got different what we enjoy out of music as well. Get out of music,
That's true.
Yeah, love it. Brilliant stuff, Darren. Yeah, if you ain't got nothing good to say, keep your gob shut. I mean, obviously you have to call shit out, but
yeah, I mean,
it's whole life moaning about crap.
It's good to have an opinion of that, but I've just always found just being positive is quite good. I find you meet other positive people. It sort of benefits you. I think your life.
Put good stuff out there.
Yeah.
Well, so thanks so much, Darren. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been lovely.
And see you.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm going to where is this? I'm going to